Okay, let's try to do this as seriously as possible, okay? Could Orochi be an actual threat? I know he looks like a doofus. Even when they try to make him look menacing, he's a doofus. Even when he transforms into a Yamato no Orochi, one of the most blood-curdling creatures from Japanese mythology, he looks like a doofus. I get it, okay? But Oda absolutely loves to do this stuff. You know he does, alright? Make us think like, oh, this is this character, he's this one way, and that's the way he's built up, and that's the way its character's gonna go until the end of the story. And then at the last minute, all of a sudden, something big happens with the character. He has a complete, different side of him that we never even knew about, alright? Alright, so last chapter of One Piece, we were talking about Orochi. Zorro had that moment with Hiyori in the Hakumai region after witnessing the martyrdom of Yasuie. That really touched Zorro, seeing not just what Yasuie did, but also all the stuff that Orochi did, the smiles, forcing people in their time of grief to smile and laugh, almost besmirching not just the memory of Yasuie, but all of the memories of their loved ones, and they can't express the proper sorrow for that. Zorro is not a real expressive guy, but that touched him, and he's just like, okay, yeah, I know what I have to do now. Number one thing is get Chusui back. That's the first thing on the list. We're going to that bridge, we're fighting that weird tattooed dude, and I'm getting my sword back, and after I have 3 katanas on my belt, I am going to the flower capital, knocking down the front door, and just slicing him down in cold blood. That's the plan, alright? That's what he lays out to Hiyori. I'm gonna take him out, I'm gonna avenge Yasuie. Hiyori starts crying, and why exactly was Hiyori crying? There's actually a bunch of reasons I can think for that. I said in the review she was crying at the memory of Yasuie, which is that's a possibility. She could also be crying for Otoko's plight, because Otoko just lost her dad. She could be crying because she's remembering the death of both of her parents, which were, caused by Orochi and Kaido gaining power in Wano. She might just be crying by the fact that, just one more person, Zorro, this outsider of Wano is now being brought into this and everything. Like, Orochi's like some kind of poison that just spreads everywhere. Just the plight of her country is enough to make her cry. Or all of the above, really. But Hiyori looks down to Zorro and says, let me be the one that ends his life. Let me be that person. She's probably been planning for this ever since she was 6 years old, when her mother gave her those final orders and probably told her that, I love you so much, you must carry on the Kozuki name and all that. Kawamatsu took her to safety, and for the last 13 years, she's been trying to become the best courtesan she could be under Kyoshiro, who is also scheming behind the scenes, probably with her, to take down Orochi. So this is a plan that she's been working at for a while. And I said in the review, I was kind of like, making fun of it, like, oh, well, let's just have everybody take on Orochi, because Orochi can turn into this Orochi, so it's like 8-headed serpent. Let's have Zorro cut off a head, let's have Hiyori come in and slice off a head, Kinemon, Momo even, like, all these people you could really see getting the final blow on Orochi, so that really got me wondering, like, how is this going to go? Are they literally just going to have the rebellion, and I'm sure there's going to be, actually, was it stated that during the Fire Festival, everybody just kind of moves to Onigashima for the festival? Like Orochi and the Onibawan and the Royal Guard and all of the samurai and the Yakuza, like all of the major players of Wano, are they just going to get up and then move to Onigashima for the festivities? Because if that's not the case, they would have to split this into 2. They would have to split it into a team that goes to Onigashima to fight Kaido, because that's where Kaido is staying during the festival. There would have to be another team that goes into the Flower Capital to take down Orochi himself. So I don't really know exactly how the layout of the Fire Festival is. I think they just said it's a big party, it's the major event of the year in Wano, so I would assume Orochi would travel to Onigashima with all of his, and just move the entire final battle of the arc off the Wano into Onigashima, the island, the Muffin Island. But who knows what might actually happen there. But is this going to be a situation where they just burst in on Orochi and Orochi really is nothing more than just a coward. He has no experience with a sword. He has no... I think that was stated as a mistranslation in the manga, like he uses two-sword style, but I don't think that's legit. I think that was just a translation error, right? So we don't really know what his experience is with that, or in battle at all, really. It doesn't seem like he has hockey. He does have a mythical zone, but that doesn't guarantee anything, especially from what we've seen of it. It allows him to turn into a mythical creature, you know, the Yamato no Orochi, which is this horrifying thing, but the way that he goes into it, he's not really huge. He's more of just kind of like room-sized, and his mouths are big enough to like swallow humans whole, but it really doesn't seem like anything that would be really difficult for any of the Straw Hats to take on. I could see, you know, Zorro, Sanji, Luffy beating the crap out of this form of Orochi fairly easily without any problems. Maybe because it's a mythical zone, he might have some abilities that are linked to the Yamato no Orochi. That creature is often linked to things like blood, so maybe he might have some kind of blood-based ability, I don't know. Or we could go the whole Hydra route with it, like in the Trials of Heracles, where, you know, one head's lopped off, another one appears, maybe that could be a reference to it, we don't know. Mythical zones typically allow you to transform into an animal, but also give you, like, an ability that's kind of similar to a paramecia ability, like Sengoku shockwaves and all that. But even at taking into account for that, it really does seem like Orochi he's not used to fighting, because he probably never really fought in his life. He's used to other people fighting for him. So even if he did have some kind of ability, think of him like the King Clover, or King Kira Clover, whatever his name is in Black Clover, okay? He has light magic, which is ridiculously rare, but he's an idiot, and he's not used to fighting, so he doesn't know how to use it properly, okay? That might be some deal with Orochi. Even if Orochi had the ability to spew fireballs out of his freaking snake mouths, which he might, who knows? But even if he did have that ability, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would really be useful, like mastering it to the level where he could take on Luffy or Zorro. You know, he seems like the kind of guy like, stay away from me, I am Lord Orochi, pew 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 pew, and just fire fireballs everywhere. Like, if this is Zorro we're talking about, Zorro could slice through fireballs, no problem, get up close and then slice off every single head before he even has time to, like, even get out the fourth pew, you know, like, pew pew pew, and then that's it, right? So even like Chopper, seriously, if you're gonna put Chopper up against Orochi, from what we've seen Orochi is capable of so far, Monster Point Chopper, one, you know, Cloven Palme or whatever, bam, is taking out Orochi, right? So that makes me wonder, though, like, is this gonna be super pathetic? Is this gonna be like the raid on the capital, or the raid on Onigashima is happening, and it's like, oh no, the rebellion! We must get Lord Orochi to safety! And they take Orochi, and the Onibawan puts him in like a bunker, like the Wano Edo period equivalent of a panic room or something, like, stay in here, Lord Orochi, you will be safe, we must go fight on your behalf to quell this rebellion. And the Onibawan leave, and the Royal Guard leave, or they might be a few Royal Guard left to guard him, and he's, you know, Orochi's just sitting in this room by himself, or like maybe with like one or two guards, like just in the fetal position, like, it's okay, I knew this was going to happen, those damn Kozukis, I am Lord Orochi, everything will be okay. And then like he's underground, I would imagine, in this scenario, and the ground just begins to rumble as the attacks are going on, and, you know, everyone's busting out their biggest moves, like Luffy's going King Kong gun up there, and he's just like, oh no, that doesn't sound good, I am Lord Orochi. Maybe I could sing a song in order to lighten my mood. He started winning, alien device did what it did. Okay, I'm not gonna do the whole song, but you know what I mean. Like, is this gonna be so pathetic where Zorro or Kinemon or Luffy or somebody, probably not gonna be Luffy, I really honestly don't see Luffy taking down Orochi directly. That doesn't seem to be his sort of fight. Orochi, I mean, that seems to be Zorro, you know, like, if anybody, Luffy's more for Kaido, right? But is this gonna be a thing where Zorro just, like, slices down the door to where Orochi's hiding in, whatever hole he crawled in, and then he slices down at Royal Guards, and Orochi's like, no, please, Mr. Swordsman, don't hurt me! Okay. Yasuie, you're avenged. And then he just leaves. Because that seems, I mean, that would be cathartic. You know, that would be cool to see. And Zorro is definitely that kind of guy. He can be extremely cold-blooded once you piss him off sufficiently, which I'm pretty sure Orochi has, right? But I don't know. Do you see Oda just going that way with it? Like, there's this sniveling man on the ground. You know, he usurped power he didn't deserve. He's never been in a serious fight. He let other people fight for him. Kaido was the backing power. He had none of it on his own. And now there he is on the ground, you know, covered in his own excrement, you know, bawling his eyes out, mucus running down his nose. Like, please don't. I don't want to. I'm Lord Orochi. Do you think Oda would really go that just freaking balls in with it and just have Zorro or anybody, Kinemon, Momo, Yori, anybody, just take out a sword and just shing and then just done? All right? Would he be that brutal with it? And like I said, as a reader, from all the stuff we've seen Orochi do, that would certainly be cathartic. From the perspective of all of the people of Wano, all the crap Orochi's pulled the last 20 years, all of the starvation, all of the pollution, all the family members they've lost, ruining their once beautiful land, they would be calling for his head. Like, they didn't even, like, Zorro doesn't even honestly have to do anything. They could just pick him up and just throw him in the town square, and he would be picked clean in an hour. You know, even the vultures wouldn't have anything left after that. Like, okay. So is that going to be the way it's going to go? Or is Oda going to pull the way where it's like, well, death would be too much of a relief for you. It would be too much of a sympathy for all the crap you've done. A quick death, that's not good enough for you, right? You're going to live the rest of your life under the rule of the Kozuki clans, which you despise so much, and you're going to try to repent as much as you can for your crimes. Would that be sufficient? Or other option, well, the other option is Orochi. You know, before they even manage to get to him, he realizes he's lost, and he just takes out the knife and, you know, takes care of it on his own. Like, that's another option. Still pretty grisly. I mean, like, I'm not saying we haven't seen moments in One Piece that get pretty intense, but how intense is Oda gonna go with it? That's another option. The other one is, Orochi, it does actually turn out that he does have a trick up his sleeve. Not necessarily a trick where, oh, by the way, I'm a master swordsman all of a sudden, you know, and he takes out a Saijo Owazamono sword and he clashes with Zorro like he's one of the best swordsmen in the world. I'm not talking about that. I want you guys to consider one thing, though, okay? And I've been thinking about this, all right? Orochi is a really paranoid guy. We've seen this. He pretty much as soon as he gained power, and the reason he's so paranoid, I would assume, is because he knows he doesn't have any, you know, fighting power himself. He's backed by Kaido, and he's using that as a shield. But he knows that he's really nothing, so that's why he's so afraid of everybody. Any possibility of a rebellion, any possibility of anyone putting their sword to his neck, he's, like, super afraid of that happening. And more than anything, he's afraid of the Kozuki clan coming back to power, of the prophecy that was spoken by Lady Toki, okay? So, as soon as Orochi came to power 20 years ago, probably that voice in the back of his mind was telling him, like, you know, Toki's words just kind of rung like a bell that he just couldn't get out of his head. And he started thinking about, like, okay, they're going to come back in 20 years. I know they are. He wasn't depicted like a villain that's just like, ha ha ha, I have taken control of Wano, nothing can stop me, ha ha ha. No, he's very scared of getting his power removed. So, you don't think that in the 20 years that he's had to sit awake at night, probably an insomniac, thinking of all the things that could happen when the Kozuki clan came back, that he did not come up with some sort of trump card for this? Something he came up with that doesn't involve Kaido or something else. Like, I am sure that, I burped a little there, I'm sorry. I'm sure that maybe it even haunted his nightmares, like Orochi all by himself, nobody to protect him, his Onibawan are gone and all that stuff, and he's just up against a wall, and he's like, no, please! I'm sure he's thought about that before, even if he didn't want to think about it, it just haunts his dreams, and he's like, I need to come up with some way to, you know, turn the tables at that last minute. All right, now what could that be? Now, if this was taking place anywhere else in One Piece, I could say he might have some device, some tool that would allow him to win. So maybe sort of like explosive or something. He's wired the whole flower capital to blow or something like that. Which it's not impossible. I'm just saying Wano is a little bit more, technologically inferior to the rest of the world. Okay. Maybe he has access to an ancient weapon or some other weapon that maybe Kaido brought him. Something that he could use to be like, okay, you want to take this country away from me? Well, you're not. Click, and then like everything goes up. It wouldn't make any sense for him not to have something like that at the last minute. All right, it was something that he doesn't want to use. Obviously, it might mean like the kill switch that destroys the entire country, but it also means that the Kozuki clan can't get it. They can't take what he hasn't rightfully deserved. He's like, I took this island because I don't deserve it, all because of Kaido's power, and you're not taking this away from me, damn it! Click! And okay, so I just don't think of him as just 100% a joke, where once they corner him, they can just eliminate him like that, and it's not even going to be that big of a deal. Like, it's going to be a big deal, but it's not going to be a big fight. There might be something dangerous with him, and you got to really watch that, right? Now, when it comes to the people that protect him, we saw Kyoshiro, the leader of the Yakuza. He stepped in to fight against Zorro on Orochi's behalf. Of course, Kyoshiro, or Tenjiro, is kind of working behind the scenes, kind of trying to get Orochi out of power. He's also working in tandem with Hiyori. So, that's obviously he's not 100% loyal to Orochi. Now, the Onibawan, on the other hand, though, they seem to be that way. They seem to be completely loyal to Orochi, to the point where even when he's going crazy in the banquet hall and devouring people right in front of them, it's like, Onibawan, please, you gotta stop Orochi! And the Onibawan are just sitting there watching Orochi go off on a temper tantrum, just like, sorry, can't do anything. The Shogun is a free man. Oh my god, my son got devoured! Free man. And so they seem to be 100% loyal to his cause, right? They don't seem to be people that are going to go against him. So he has them. I also would like to bring you to attention his personal attendants, or I guess his royal guard, the people that ran into the banquet hall that tried to calm Orochi down and tried to mitigate as much damage to the palace as possible so there wasn't that much collateral damage, because that kind of crap happens all the time when you're dealing with Orochi, right? So I would like to think in Orochi's personal guard, there are like regular attendants that aren't much of fighters, but Orochi would make certain to find the strongest samurai in the country that he could also trust, and they would go through like an interviewing, like a vetting process, that makes sure that they would be steadfastly loyal to him at all times, and he would make sure to have them living in the flower capital, living in the royal palace, maybe like right next to his bedchamber, or maybe even have one of them stay in the corner of his room, or maybe a member of the Onibawan in the corner of the room at all times, and just in case somebody tried to break in and try to eliminate him, assassinate him in the night, he always has somebody there, right? I would like to think that there's a few really strong samurai that we just haven't seen yet, okay? There's that. Now, when it comes to his relationship with Kaido, Kaido is revered as the dragon god to all the citizens of Wano, okay? Like, literally a god. Which, Kaido, I mean, he's not far off from one, if we're being honest. You could turn into a giant dragon that can, not really fly, but walk around on clouds and shoot flame breath. That's pretty close to godly, at least in the context from compared to a human being's potential, okay. So, they probably look at Orochi as like handpicked by the dragon god to rule their country. So there's like, oh yeah, God is real, he's a vengeful dragon, and he has nothing but malicious intent for us. Well, what can you do, right? Honestly, because the people of Wano know nothing about the Yonko, or like how pirates operate on the blue sea outside of their country, right? So from their perspective, literally, he could just show up and be like, I am the dragon god known as Kaido. Oh my god! Do you all believe me? Yes, we do! Okay, I'm gonna set up shop on that, muffin island over there, and, here's Orochi, he's gonna be your new shogun, do what he says, or I will bring the wrath upon you, and then he just leaves, right? And then that's just basically, honestly, that's hyperbole, but not really probably far off from what actually happened. I like to think, and I've mentioned this before, I like to think Orochi in his younger days was not necessarily a peasant, but he was like low-level nobility. Maybe his father had some pull in like in maybe in Curry region or whatever region he grew up in, or even maybe the flower capital, right? Not really connected to a daimyo or the shogun directly. But it's like, okay, Orochi is born to this low-level noble family, and he's not really good at anything. He doesn't really want to work or do anything like that. He just kind of is really greedy, and he wants to take over the country, all right? And so maybe whenever Kaido somehow came to the country, Orochi got in contact with Kaido and they kind of made a deal. Orochi would use his power to let his men into Wano, Kaido's men, the Beast Pirates, into Wano, give them a path, if in exchange for that, he makes Orochi the Shogun. Alright, so Kaido did it, of course, why not? Also, you can imagine Kaido looking at Orochi as just like, oh, this is just a snake that is trying to just usurp power, but he has none of his own. From Kaido's perspective, he probably thought, well, he is a noble. He would know stuff about the country. He would know how everything operates and all that stuff, so he might be useful. And at the end of the day, he's weak as a newborn kitten. I could eliminate him if I really wanted to, so why not? I'll accept that deal of yours, right? Also, I don't really see Kaido kind of taking over the entire country and working at it like the day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? Like, Kaido uses Wano as his, like, stronghold and all that stuff, and as a base for all of his factories, and eventually the Smile production and all that stuff. Really strong warriors in that land, but I don't see Kaido being the shogun and, like, the day-to-day paperwork and all that crap. Like, he just kind of wants to sit there on Onigashima, drink his booze, and just live his piratey existence, right? So that's why he keeps Orochi around, right? But make no mistake, if Orochi was getting out of hand and it was looking like he was trying to double-cross Kaido, Kaido could smash that rebellion in, 2 seconds flat, because at the end of the day, the people of Wano are definitely going to, fear Kaido over Orochi when it really comes down to it, right? Also, there was that scene that Orochi had with the CP I Just Zero, where he was talking about how, I want Dr. Vegapunk! Bring him here! I have Kaido backing me! You can't stop me! So that definitely shows arrogance on his part. It's sort of like your dumb little brother that always gets into so many fights or makes, like, threats to people. It's like, my big brother will beat you up! And the big brother's like, oh god, please stop saying this stupid stuff, But he goes along with it because they're siblings. I don't know. I never had an older or a younger brother, or a sister for that matter. I'm an only child, so I don't really know how this would go. But that's kind of like the relationship and how it works there. So, what do you guys think, I guess, is the ultimate point of all of this? Like, do you think he's going to turn out to be an actual fighter? Or he'll have at least some way to fight back against Zorro and the other samurai when the rebellion gets started? Or is he just relying completely on his royal guard and the Onibawan? When he is pressed up against a wall, do you think he'll have some sort of means of like, well, if I'm going, I'm taking it all with me, kind of kill switch? Or will he just end it himself? Will it turn out that the cowardly visage that he projects is actually different from his real personality when you get down to it? I don't think that's the case from what we've seen. I mean, I think he is that kind of doofus, but you just never know with Oda, right? And how would the ending of Orochi go? Would it just be a cold-blooded finish? Or would it be something like kept alive in prison to kind of atone for his crimes, like death is too sweet for you? Or would it be some other method of him trying to atone for his sins? I don't really know. Let me know what you think about that below, though. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101, signing out. I am Lord Orochi!